thought we would walk and talk today and answer a very important question. Would I move to China? Would I live in China in 2026? The short answer is yes. I think China has just exceeded my expectations on a whole nother level. And my plan today is actually that we walk and talk in this park called Rutan Park. So I'm near the embassies right now, but it looks like really dark in there, so we'll see if there's enough lighting. Okay, so I'm going to break this video down into a few sections. The first section will be about job and opportunities. Okay, so we're entering the park. It's so dark in here though. Is this going to be a fail? There are some lights, but I think it's going to be too dark. Let's see. Anyway, you guys will just have to imagine that you can see my face. Oh my gosh, it's so dark. Okay, anyway, here we are. All right, so I've broken this video down into a few different... I'm walking the wrong way too. Okay, so one thing about Chinese parks is everyone walks one way. Anyway, I need to go this way, so let's just keep going. Okay, so first let's talk about job and opportunities. So I think as a foreigner living in China, the obvious job is to teach English, right? 可是我觉得如果你教英语, it's not really a career. It's more a, what's the word? Step in time job. Okay, wow, it's so dark. Should I film this video at a different date? No, let's keep going, okay. Maybe I can light myself. I don't have a light with me. Should I light myself with my phone? No. Okay, anyway, let's walk and talk. Okay, so job and opportunities wise, sorry, this is getting really chaotic. Maybe I'll go back out onto the street so I've got some light. Where's the exit? Okay, so I'm just looking for the exit. 1 second. Okay, we're gonna hit an exit soon, so bear with me in this part of the video because I know it's too dark, but anyway, okay, so back to job and opportunities. So I think the obvious option and the easiest option is to teach English if you're from, noting you have to be from specific countries. So if you're from Australia, no worries. The other countries are America, Canada, thank you to this sign for the great lighting. America, Canada, what are the other countries? Anywhere in Europe, Britain, I think. Anyway, okay, so in terms of teaching, I think from what I'm realizing, you're always going to be seen as a foreigner. And so even I teach at a private institute, right? And actually the institute that I teach at, there are future job opportunities, but are they comparative to that of something you would get in Australia? No. So I would probably just note that. So unless you're planning on starting your own business here, or you're going to be in the diplomatic route, just think about when you're spending Australian dollars over here, you're going to get good bang for your buck. But when you're earning renminbi and spending renminbi, you're going to be tight for cash, I think. And a lot of people online say, oh my gosh, teaching over here, it's a really good way to save and that, but I just don't really think that's true in my opinion. But I don't know if that's just because I'm living in Beijing and Beijing daily expenses are relatively high. Okay, so that's a little bit about job and opportunities. I think there are quite a lot of that's such a Chinese thing that I'm doing now. When I'm thinking, I'm I think there are quite a lot of diplomatic options that you could go down. Okay, where's the exit? All right, guys, this is an issue because I've missed the exit. Okay, I need to go back this way and then right. Anyway, there's a good lighting here from the ping pong courts. Okay, so quickly while I'm walking past the ping pong courts. So you'll see in China, there's just so many activities to do. So I would say life is quite rich over here. But again, to do the activities, you need cash. So is it actually, does a job like teaching actually fund that life? Not in Beijing, it does not. Okay, in terms of business costs, so if you're an Australian, it's obviously not that expensive to start a business in Australia, but I think here also you're going to have pretty low startup costs to start a business. But again, the competition is so rife. So personally I haven't started my own business here yet, but don't know, that's a consideration. Okay, so next let's talk about cost of living. So yeah, comparative to Australia, it's a lot cheaper to live here, but mind you, because you're earning less, you're also going to be like, you're spending less, you're earning less. So is the cost of living in Beijing actually that different to, like, say living in Sydney or Melbourne? Not really. Like, I'm paying, you'll probably be like shocked, some Chinese people are super shocked when they hear how much I pay for rent, but I pay like 475 Australian dollars a week. And so like that, but that was like the only option that I had. So I don't know, that's a consideration. In terms of food and transport, it's definitely way cheaper here compared to Australia. I don't want to ruin anyone's walk by like talking too loud. Where's the exit? What the heck? Okay, so on the map this was looking like an exit, but it's not an exit. So basically I'm going to walk back to the entrance that I walked into. That's so annoying. Anyway, let's keep going. I might pause the video here because I don't want to interrupt anyone's walk. And like, these are really silent parks. So see you in 2 minutes because I'm just going here. Out on the street, as I said, I didn't really want to ruin anyone's like walk, so let's keep going. Okay, so in terms of language, so the next part I want to talk about is language and your intention. Yum. I haven't eaten yet. Well, hi, me too. So I guess in terms of language and intention, so like I said, I do think you could probably save here, but like if you're living in a different country, like surely you want to travel and get out and about and that. So like I don't really know why you would come to China as an Australian citizen and travel and like try and save money here, if that makes sense, because you're better off getting an Australian job, like from a monetary perspective. So maybe that's different for different countries, but particularly from an Australian perspective, I would say you're not coming here to save money because you're going to be earning renminbi, and so you're going to be saving renminbi. And like I have heard that transferring renminbi to AUD like is just very difficult. So you're kind of coming here to earn and spend, right? Good or not, like that's what you're coming here to do. Okay, so I guess in terms of language, personally, like people that I work with that don't speak any Chinese, like I don't know how they do it, because like, you know, part of being in a different country, as the traffic is like lighting me, when you're in a different country, like, well, in China, it's not really like being in Australia where you can kind of get by. Like you really do need to be able to speak some Chinese just to like live. And so like I would say my Chinese level now is like survival Chinese, but as I'm learning more, like I'm better able to understand like cultural and historical like nuances. So I think that's definitely a consideration. Like you need to be able to speak some Chinese, otherwise like life here is just too difficult. Like for example, a lot of the apps are in Chinese, can't be translated. No, that's a lie. If you use the WeChat mini programs, you can translate them. Okay, I'm meeting my friend and I need to hurry up because I had planned obviously to walk through the park. But anyway, that was a bit of a fail. Okay, so I guess in terms of convenience and daily life, like what is China like? So, very different to Australia where you need to cook every meal, you need to like go to the shops, like so the convenience here is just like unmatched. Like I don't know how Chinese people go from living here to living in Australia, like to be a man. Okay, so I guess in terms of other conveniences, so definitely like food is one. It's really cheap and you just order it on Meituan. Although recently my Xiaohongshu people are really angry that I'm ordering Meituan every day because they think it's really unhealthy. So that's an interesting consideration because, yeah, I guess I never really thought about that before. Like, obviously I know that it's not ideal, but like, it's okay. It's interesting in this embassy area because there's a lot of like security and that, and like it feels a bit awkward filming. But anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong with me filming while I'm walking. Okay, so let's talk more about convenience. So like daily life things like gas, electricity, really cheap here, and you just pay on WeChat, so it's like quite convenient from that perspective. The other thing is like Taobao. Like it is so convenient to order things on Taobao, and like it's really affordable too if you're thinking in Australian dollars. So let me change my hand over. So for example, I ordered a pair of wool pants the other day and they're like let's call it 75 Australian dollars. They're amazing. So that's definitely a consideration. But obviously you're earning renminbi, so I think you've kind of got to think in renminbi here. Like you can't really be thinking in Australian dollars. So that's a consideration. Okay, in terms of convenience, definitely travel. Just take the high-speed train. It's called Gaotie in Chinese, and I guess that makes travel really easy, like especially if you have 2 days off. Like I usually just get on the high-speed train and go somewhere random. Like it's so convenient. I would definitely not suggest flying in China. It's a very different experience to flying in Australia, where, you know, if you're flying domestically in Australia, you can just like get to the airport an hour before and keep it moving. But here you have to get to the airport so early because the airports are just so large. By the way, I'm putting the angle here because like as I'm walking past people, like I don't know if they want to be in the shot or not, so like it's fine, you know. See this guy, he's too far away now. Okay, cool. I think here, like in terms of, I just want to talk about lifestyle and vitality a little bit. I think because I'm feeling so challenged from a language perspective, I'm actually just like super happy here. And so I'm really trying to work out, like, can I establish a long-term life for myself here? I do see a period where like I'd be living between Australia and, is this like a military zone? I feel like I shouldn't be filming here. It's fine, like I just really don't want to do the wrong thing because I don't really know, but it says that this is a school, so I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so yeah, in terms of my lifestyle here, like I think because I'm just living so much out of the house because I don't particularly like my apartment, like it's just so fun. Like I'm going to meet a friend now, I'm going to have dinner, play some golf, like what a vibe. Okay, so then probably the only setback, obviously, and actually my grandma sent me a video about this, which was really interesting. So when you're living in a different country, obviously you're establishing like a whole new network of friends. It's just a shout too. I'm sure it's fun to film here. So you're establishing like a whole new network of friends. And what does that look like, say, like, because I do want to have a family. I'm only 26, but like, you know, what does that look like in the future, especially if your partner speaks a different language natively? Like it's definitely a consideration of like, you're always just going to be like going back to Australia for like intermittently. So for me, like I don't really have, a lot of people have actually been asking me like, what's your long-term goal? And it does change quite a lot because like, do I want to set up a business here? Yes. Do I want to, okay, I'm going to go right. Do I want to set up a business here? Yeah, definitely. But then does that mean that I want to like base myself in China? Like I'm not particularly 100% sure, to be honest. So like life here right now works really well, but in terms of like my Chinese has just got to get better. So that's a consideration if you really want to live here long term. If you can't speak Chinese, or maybe you don't have a willingness to learn, like life is going to be difficult, but also I guess challenging. But I feel like to get the right experience here, you need to speak Chinese. So yeah, I guess that's the only thing that makes me hesitate about life in China versus long-term life in Australia, is like the family and then also the language skills. Like if my Chinese does not get better, like I cannot live here long term because like everyday life is just difficult. Okay, so let's wrap it all up. We've spoken about a whole different range of things. So if we go through the list, we've spoken about the cost of living. Okay, so yeah, online a lot of people go like, oh my God, it's so cheap to live in China, but like, is it actually cheap to live here? It's cheap to feed yourself here, but one thing I want to add is, I was thinking the other day, like in Beijing, it's actually really hard to get a number plate and it's quite inconvenient. Maybe it's just where I'm living is inconvenient to like get Ubers and that everywhere, but like, because I'm getting Ubers everywhere. But one consideration is like, do you want to be able to drive in Beijing? Like it's difficult to drive here, but like you probably do. My arm's getting sore. This new wide angle lens is so heavy, guys. So yeah, like long term, I feel like you'd have to be able to, well, either have the coin to get Ubers everywhere, because like getting the subway can be a bit inconvenient and like a bit time consuming, or you drive yourself, which is obviously the ideal thing. Okay, so cost of living, language, like if you're not going to learn to speak Chinese, I don't know why you would live in China. That sounds a little bit negative, but like it's true. Okay, and then from a convenience perspective, like China is unmatched, and I think that helps support lifestyle. But then also, maybe I'll tack on in the end also the car, and working for a Chinese company, like, it's very different to working for an Australian company. Like, it is, they demand a lot, even in the role that I'm in, and the money and the protections compared to Australia are just very different. Like, for example, you know, in Australia, if you're working for a company and then they ask you to go to a different office in the day, like, you'll get paid to travel or rebate. You, like, there's also tax deductions if you're driving your own car. Here, nah, doesn't exist. So, like, for me, I'm only getting paid for the hours that I teach, which is pretty interesting, hey? Okay, so would I live in China in 2026? Hell yes, I would, but just with those caveats of, like, living here and not being able to speak Chinese, even if you're living in Beijing, I think you're just gonna have a really difficult experience. Just like even daily life, feeding yourself and that, like, once you work it out, you're probably okay. But that's just a big consideration. And then, yeah, like, from a money perspective, if you're trying to live a really comfortable life, I would suggest living outside of Beijing. But, you know, I've never lived in a different city before. It's just like the rent in Beijing. Like, to live in the right area where it's vibey, like, you gotta spend a fortune. Okay, so we'll wrap it there. I'm going to meet my friend now, and let me know if you've got any questions. 再见. Okay, let me give an example actually about why it's helpful to speak Chinese. So my neighbor has like a maybe she's 5, and it's so cute because she named her Mia after me. She changed 她的英语名字是 Mia. So cute. Oh God, she's so cute. So basically my neighbor was telling me that today is the start of Spring Festival, 春节, and basically that means that we should eat this thing called 春饼, which is like Spring Festival pancake. So I told my friend, I'm like, let's eat 春饼, like 别忘了我们 别忘, don't forget, 别忘了我们是要吃月饼. Okay, so we'll wrap it there. I just need to walk this way another kilometer. Like, look at the traffic. So we're definitely not getting in a DD. So yeah, okay, let me know if you got any questions. Peace.